Good afternoon, early evening to everybody out there. Again, this is the Mad Professor in the boot, living in the boot from the Two Cigars and a Blunt podcast on every Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, on streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. And I was out riding my bike early today, and I was listening to a show on Sirius XM while I was riding, and one of the commentators, and it might have been the host of the show, brought up a couple things about prison and immigrants. And when he brought up immigrants, he said pretty soon black people are going to be the minority of minorities, meaning our Latin brothers and sisters are going to outnumber us so that we're going to be at the bottom yet again. And he was talking about how they come into our neighborhoods, they come for our jobs, they come and take what's ours, and we're going to be ignored by that. We're going to be our power is going to be diminished by this. And my thing was, why are we still in these neighborhoods that are so easy for someone with nothing to come in and take our place? And the other thing I thought about, other than that was the first thing that came to my mind, is why are we still there? The second thing that came to my mind is, who is giving them anything over us to make us less important, make us to diminish us rather. And what makes them think that the people in power are going to give them anything? Because what I've noticed about Hispanics when they come in is they get a group together. They're not family, but they don't know each other, but they all pool together one house with a large number of people, or one group home with a large number of people, and they start pooling their resources. Whereas we're one house, one family, one person. And honestly, and some of it goes back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and sometimes even the 70s, where we could only move in certain areas, where we weren't allowed to move in certain areas. We were given some areas to live in. But why are we still there? You see, to me, those were kind of starter homes. And I'm not saying, or neighborhoods, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't still be in the neighborhood you grew up in. That's home. I'm in the neighborhood I grew up in. It's home. But don't feel like you're like somebody else moving in is taken away from you because you chose to be there, because you chose to stay there, because you don't know a way to get out of there. And because we've been taught to take care of ourselves, to not help the community in a lot of ways, whose fault is that? That's us. That's us. Like I said, they don't shit on each other. They don't shoot and kill each other. We don't do it that all. We don't do it as often as the media would have you believe either. But we don't take care of ourselves. We don't take care of our people. We don't take care of our neighbor the way they do when they move in. And another thing they were talking about was with voting is the prison system. And the one thing that very few people ever asks, and I've always asked, is why is it's easier to run as a felon than it is to vote as one? I can be fresh out of jail, and if I raise the money or have the money, I can run for office. But I go to jail for that same felony. I can't vote for someone running for office. I can't. Why is that? You see, it made it easy, and I'm not going to say one party did it over the other, because even our current president made it easier for black people to go to jail for some crimes that other people committed and didn't go to jail for at all. But we get out and we either don't fight for our right to vote, or we don't care for our right to vote. And voting is important. We discussed it on Two Cigars and a Blunt over and over, how important voting is, especially local voting. We need to have a different mindset about this kind of thing. And I wish I could sprinkle some dust on everybody to make them think the way I think about certain things, but I can't. All I can do is put it out there, and it's up to you to decide how you're going to deal with that information. And like I said, I don't have no ill will toward people coming into this country. I don't have ill will toward people going in and out of jail. I have an ill will if that's the only thing you see and it's the one thing you accept. Don't if you don't try to change it, don't bitch about it. You know, stop fussing. If people come into your neighborhood and do better than you, what are you doing wrong?